All right, good morning. How's everybody? Yeah. I met Gabe just to sort of reinforce what he was talking about. Gabe and I somehow intersected on an assignment about 3 or 4 years ago. And it was a company that was trying to put together a little panel on what should they do about their loyalty strategy. So it was pretty clear when we got into the room, even just if you judge by the way we were dressed, that you had kind of this traditional loyalty guy, you had the cool guy that knew about gamification, and then we had the perfunctory academic participant that had done a lot of studies but hadn't necessarily applied any of it. So it was an interesting conversation. That's when I first met Gabe. And one of the revelations that I had in the business even before that time was that feeling like we're not alone. We had had this loyalty business to ourselves for an awful long time, and it was all just about transactions and data and offering a little bit of incentive. And then we realized there were a lot of different tactics and different ways to go about changing consumer behavior. So what I'd like to do today just is to go on a little adventure with all of you. If you could just sort of lean in a little bit. Let's go on an adventure together. 2 things I'd like to accomplish. First one is if somehow I can deliver what I'm supposed to deliver within 21 minutes, then I'll probably level up in Gabe's world and I'll get one of those cool t-shirts. The second one is that I'd like to just go through a little bit of a discovery process and try to unlock some mysteries about loyalty and whether, in fact, gamification could be the next act for loyalty marketing. So when I think about the adventure, to be more in the spirit of this conference, I thought we ought to be playing a game. And if I were to give the game a name, I think I would call it Loyalty Marketing Clue. So you remember that Clue game? Anybody ever play Clue? It's an oldie. It's almost too old for me. But it's been relaunched. And I was looking at their website, and the way they describe their game is they say it's the mystery that everyone likes to solve again and again and again. Only now it's more intense. So they had to add, try to put a little edge on a board game. Interesting. And, if anything spoke to loyalty marketing, it's really that. I mean, loyalty marketing has been around for a very long time, but it's still a mystery to a lot of people. There's so much widespread knowledge about the business, and so many people are practitioners in the business and touching on it in some way, but yet at the same time, isn't it interesting that we define it differently and that the outcome of our work turns out to be quite different, one from another, oftentimes. So what I wanted to do was to sort of unlock this mystery of loyalty, see how gamification ties to it, and I thought by just start I would offer you a couple of clues, and you'll see how these things come into play a little bit later. But the first clue I'd like to give you is just that could making loyalty programs contextual, could that be the way that we unlock a new type of consumer behavior, a way that we could engage the digital consumer, a way that we could change the game and get people to actually pay attention to our brands, prefer our brands, keep our brands top of mind, give us mind share, all those great words. Clue number 1. Clue number 2, wouldn't it be something if we could apply the basics of behavioral psychology, gamification, the study of human behavior, and put that together with everything that we know about loyalty marketing to really make the most of the data that's been collected for decades at this point by a lot of brands, and the data that will continue to be collected as this big data machine continues to accelerate. So those are the 2 that I'd start out with as clues, but what I wanted to do to even get started is ask everybody a question. And the question is, it's pretty simple, but it may not be the easiest one to answer, and that is, if it works, it will. Are you a 1%er? Are you a 1%er? To be fair, let me put a little definition around that, because the 1%er tag can mean a lot of different things to a lot of different people. In the biker world, even this guy, if you had the chance to interview him and he didn't kill you first, he would tell you that 99% of motorcyclists and bike riders are law-abiding citizens. He'd also tell you that he's the 1%er. It was the outlaws that were down in the South that came up with that name, and they refer to themselves as the 1%er. So we're that guy that's out there. I don't know how many of us in this room would probably say that we're defining ourselves as 1%ers in this way, but there's probably a little better chance that some of us might see ourselves as a 1%er from an economic point of view. So right now, the 1%er, you might have read about this in your scan of the Huffington Post in the morning or just looking through your news feeds, but the 1%ers are the highest income earners in the US, right now categorized by those that make over $343,000 a year. So while I'd say it's probably very unlikely that any of us are in the biker 1%er, really good chance that some of us in here could be in that nice chair over there as the 1%er. But regardless of how you would define yourself, it's good to know this, that the 1%er is an outlier. The 1%er is an anomaly. You know, it's something that doesn't really fit in. It doesn't represent the majority of people out there. But at the same time, I would tell you this, that the 1%er is you, every one of you. And why do I say that? Well, it's because pretty much if I had the ability to go through your wallets, I'm quite sure that I'd find a bunch of credit cards and loyalty cards where you as consumers, every one of you, has been quite satisfied to transact with all kinds of businesses and get 1, 2, 3, if you're really lucky, you in a higher tier, you get 5. But you get some small percentage back for your shopping. If you're a marketing practitioner, depending on where you sit today in your business life, you might be one of those people who's been creating these programs. I know I have been. So we've created a lot of these, designed them, launched them, managed them, closed some down. But either way, we're all participating in this 1% game. Now, just like the bikers, there are haters for those bikers. There's haters for that 1% guy sitting in the chair with all that money. And guess what? There's a lot of haters on loyalty right now. And so I've been reading a lot of articles that are highly critical of loyalty. And I thought I would just kind of be transparent and share with you some of the best and the worst lately that I've seen. This was actually from an article I saw on slate.com, where they said loyalty cards are usually a pretty bad business strategy. They're either a creepy way to monitor and exploit your habits, or a desperate gambit by weak retailers to distract you from their own shortcomings. So what I want to ask you is, when you read something like that, how do you define loyalty in your own mind, and do you even know what loyalty is? Do you know what kind of expectation that maybe the person that wrote that article has for that word, the magical L word, and for what, in fact, we can create with clients and with our own business using gamification and other techniques? And it's interesting to think this through, because this is the kind of loyalty that most people are thinking about. Sad to show this out in San Francisco, a team that struggled for 4 decades with little success, the Cleveland Browns, but that's where I grew up. Good. See what happens? Even with that kind of performance record, that's emotional loyalty. And guess what? That's pretty much not what we're trying to do with all of our loyalty programs. If any brand could establish that kind of undying loyalty, not just once, but over decades, as they continued to draft quarterback after quarterback after quarterback and still get the same result. Everybody from Mike Phipps to Brandon Whedon and in between has washed out, and that kind of emotional loyalty will overcome almost any obstacle. In fact, it's so strong that now we've got our hopes set on this guy. Oops, this guy. And I'm hoping he's the more serious guy in the second picture. So when we think about loyalty, you have to set your expectations properly, and you have to think about the loyalty that's in my heart for my team, for my family, for other things in my country, things like that are really important to me. That's over here, and the loyalty that we're after is something quite different. So what's really important, I think, as a takeaway for everybody here, is to settle on your own worldview of loyalty marketing. I mean, I would love that if you each seriously thought about, well, what's my worldview of loyalty marketing? I mean, your worldview, as you probably know, is this how you see the outside world and your surroundings and that in which you live based on the accumulated set of experiences and attitudes and environment and education, everything that's been poured into you during your time here on Earth that creates a worldview of how you view things on the outside. So how do you view loyalty marketing based on everything that you know so far? If you view loyalty as a branch of data-driven customer marketing, but really a branch of direct marketing, if you look at loyalty programs as campaigns, if you think about loyalty programs as true rewards programs, the type that are entirely transparent, that is very clear, if I spend this, I get that. There's really not much of a game to that. It's just a Pavlovian kind of response, spend this, get that. So the perceived impact of a program like that is not much more than a punch card. Or it might be the type that has an imbalance in reward and recognition. So think about a program, a lot of them that you probably have interacted with, where all you get is points, or all you get is miles. Or there may be some on the other end of the spectrum where you get a little bit of special treatment, or you get in the short line, but not much in real value that you can take home with you. So what we like to talk about is rewards programs, things that are more campaign-driven. Those are the ones that probably are the target of the criticism and all the talk and the people that say that loyalty programs just don't work. Loyalty marketing doesn't work. If you think in terms of loyalty the way it should be done, the way I truly try to make it happen with people, is to consider how you can take the data that we do collect and curate, and how you can build value propositions for customers that actually make a difference in their purchase transaction, in that customer experience, and change the way they think about a brand. So it sounds simple, but it's a much more complex structure of a value proposition. It assumes that you're going to have a communication, a very earnest kind of communication with customers in the channels they want, not the one that you want to speak through. And all those pieces come together to make a program that actually works and actually can change customer behavior. And here's the best part, as much as we like to talk about cool stuff, is that when programs are done like this, you can actually put an ROI around it and show your CFO that it's working. And that means you can go to your boss, your board, your shareholders, and tell them that the money you spent in that program is actually paying back a return. That's a good thing when you're trying to earn your bonus at the end of the year. So loyalty programs defined that way should be kind of simple, but look what we've done to it. We've sort of trashed the whole idea with all kinds of buzzwords. Sometimes marketers, we're our own worst enemies. I mean, we talk about customer engagement, we talk about CRM, we talk about omni-channel. We go through all of these words and we confuse the issue. And so what I finally landed on for myself is, and this is a little bit, maybe this is why Gabe and I get along a little bit. It's maybe why some people in the loyalty business sense a little, they get a little friction, they get a little uncomfortable. Because I truly believe that every company out there, everybody that we work for or do business with or serve in some way, we have a customer base. We're collecting a tremendous amount of data, and it'll only get greater. And we all have our challenges, right? Nobody has a perfect family, and nobody has a perfect company. So we're always either looking for new customers, we've got to deal with a competitive response, there's something out there that we've always got to deal with. So to me, that means that a data-driven customer marketing strategy applies to every business out there, every business. Now, whether or not the outcome of that process looks like a loyalty program, completely off the table. Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't. So I think now in terms of framing this whole business as customer strategy, and now we're able to invoke a much broader set of tactics, gamification and other types of things that we can bring into the picture to get a better result. Now, just to give you a little idea that it's not just me, or it's not my own self-interest that I happen to like loyalty marketing. I've been working in it for 15, 20 years. I looked at the Brand Keys. I don't know if you're familiar with Brand Keys, but it's a company that does studies on loyalty and customer satisfaction and a number of different business metrics. In their 2014 study, I went through and looked at the leaders, the companies that had the highest ratings for customer loyalty and satisfaction. And I said, which of these companies have loyalty programs? Interestingly, every darn one of them. So if you go down the list and you look at that farthest right-hand column, what I just tried to evidence was the fact that they not only had a loyalty program, but they either had one that offered currency, so it was kind of the traditional, call it old school model, Or if I said it was a behavior type of program, that means it's probably more of a gamified program. It's something that is leveraging my behavior based on some other kind of a not fully transparent value proposition or reward system. So Panera with their surprise and delight type of program is one. Lancome is working through a little bit of surprise and delight, but also a communication plan trying to get people to share the cosmetics they like and take selfies and contribute user-generated content. It's a fun program to be a part of if you're a user of those products. And then even, I include Walmart. I always like to talk about Walmart, that people say that they're loyalty agnostic or loyalty sort of opposed to loyalty, but in fact, they have a loyalty program, and you can see what it is. It's their everyday low price strategy. That's wonderful for them. Trouble is, my opinion at least, is in every vertical category, there can only be one company that can successfully execute that strategy. So Walmart is so good with their supply chain, they can drive prices to the place where they can just beat the competition, and that, in effect, can be their fulfillment of their brand promise. That's their loyalty program. It's not replicable across a whole set of other retailers that would seek to compete with them. So, the bottom line is it's kind of funny. It's a lot of these brands, they wouldn't continue to do these programs unless they worked. Now, things aren't getting any easier. Not getting any easier. Like, I'm trusting that everybody whose head is looking down right now is tweeting about how awesome this whole conference is. I'm sure nobody's actually fallen asleep so far. But we're dealing with, myself included. We're distracted, we're overtaxed, one of our badges that we like to put up high is our ability to be really good at multitasking. So our attention span is shrinking. It's just hard to pay attention. And so we have to take that into consideration. And what I like to think about is maybe what the future might look like, to give you a little bit of structure, is what if we could make programs, loyalty programs, data-driven customer strategies, contextual, and I don't want to fall in the buzzword trap either, so I would just say, what if we could build programs recognizing that our customers are human beings, that they have motivation that can be tapped through intrinsic means, from inside of them, and also from an extrinsic standpoint. And what if we could take advantage of both types of motivation, maybe see how much of a move in behavior we could get from just intrinsic means, where we don't even have to give away as much of the 1%. We could just have fun and play a game and get people to enjoy coming to our store. And what if that value proposition that we created could be delivered in the channels that the customer prefers? I mean, some people want email. Some people want SMS. Some people actually like to go to the website and look around. There's a lot of different ways that you can talk to people. It could be through some social network. So in the channel that they like, and in proximity to the point of purchase. So we're also thinking a little bit about location and geo-marketing. So how can we take all of this with a solid foundation of the principles of gamification, of understanding how people tick and how they work, and put that together to create a new kind of loyalty model? That's what we're thinking about. And there are some brands, I don't like to ever talk about things that aren't real, so I like to talk about some brands that are winning. And if you notice, these are all a little bit different. I mean, they're all ones you've heard about. You might say, oh, I know, I've heard about that before, but think about what Amazon has done. Product and service bundle around a price. They actually, if you think that they just met the need of the hand raisers, of the self-identified people that were already buying a lot, you would actually be very wrong. The difference in value to Amazon of people pre-enrollment and post-enrollment is about 3 to 1. So the people that were actually worth something to Amazon and saw that they were already paying that much in shipping, so it was worth it, they actually tripled their value to Amazon as a result of the program. I call that a great customer strategy. Panera Bread and Caribou have leveraged the whole idea of surprise and delight, so they are staying away from a highly transparent value proposition. They're having a little bit of fun with people. Some people don't get it. I talk to people, but I can tell you that the business results are there. And I can't tell you exactly what they are just because I've worked with one of them this year, but I know that they're significant. They're in double-digit increases of the people that participate in their programs and play the game. And as a result of playing the game and not knowing when you're going to get the free muffin, the free coffee, the free upgrade, they're getting lift. Lowe's is interesting too, just because you have another service offer. You have something that doesn't even award currency, but also changes the impact on the customer experience. So it makes your do-it-yourself life easier. You know, you finally have a way to keep track of those paint numbers that you can never remember, and all the things that you buy for your house, maybe seasonally, you can go back and see that it's all there. So it tends to make you want to go back to Lowe's as opposed to one of their competitors, where in that case you'd have to go into your kitchen drawer and try to find those receipts. You know, Walgreens is the other one that previous speaker was talking about a little bit. They are issuing currency, yes, but they have the fitness aspect built in, so you can earn additional currency just by logging the miles that you run, the miles that you walk, and all those sort of things. So there's some really good examples of what's happening out there. So how do we make loyalty programs contextual? I mean, think about this. I really believe we need a new vocabulary. So there's this, I think, a first generation set of words like target, inform, transact, reward, recognize. We need to replace those words and just think about the action nature of these words. What if we built a loyalty program that was meant to engage somebody, really, not as a marketing buzzword, but really engage, to encourage them. Encouraging is good. It makes people spring into action even further. To challenge them. You know, when you challenge me, I'm going to respond. I'm going to do something. Why don't we tease customers a little bit? Surprise and delight. You know, get them to join in. Get them to go on a journey with us. Get them to even go on the little mini adventure that we just did today and achieve something. And then here's the groundbreaker. It's amazing that people talk but don't execute. But why don't we honor and respect customers in the way that's appropriate within the context of our business, and in doing that, build really strong bonds of trust. So we've been through our little journey. We're right at the end of it. Hopefully you can see we've taken some mystery out of what loyalty is all about today, and hopefully you've also seen some linkages created in how, if this loyalty business is going to evolve into another generation and continue to be highly relevant as a marketing tool, it's going to evolve as a result of bringing in the concepts of human behavior, psychology, and essentially gamification to go to a new level of effectiveness. Thanks.
Awesome.